pretty fitting that I'm wearing red and my empty shelf is blue. Wait, actually. Believe it!
Oh, right, Naruto.
It's no longer empty. But we're talking about How to Lose the Time War by el-mohtar and Max Gladstone. This book has been out for quite a while. Like, it's been on my Audible, you should read this, for years. But last year it went viral on Twitter. Now, X.
Twitter.
And I was like, why is this book viral? And then I finally was like, you know what, it's a 4-hour listen on Audible. Yes, I know, I'm using Audible, but it's the most affordable one. And you know what? It's really good. It is good. Like, I do not generally like sci-fi stuff outside of movies. I generally don't enjoy reading sci-fi books. And this is a sci-fi book. It's all about time travel. Also, time travel, I despise it.
Time travel. Yeah, time travel.
As a storytelling device, it is very rarely done well. Like, the MCU just about scraped doing multidimensional stuff and time travel well in Endgame, but the rest of their stuff is really bad. The Flash, I do not like because of that. The only movie where I thought did interdimensional stuff well was Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I think this book actually does time travel and interdimensional stuff really well because it's a very short novella, but it establishes the rules very early on, and even when there are slight breaks in the rules, or they introduce a new concept regarding the rules of time travel and multi-dimensions, it's very obvious what they are. They explain it without giving too much exposition about it, which is really great because they show them doing things. They show them doing things in regards to time travel, in regards to interdimensional stuff. And it's not, just them telling us. It's actually done, and it's really, really well done. Also, I'm gonna get into spoilers later on, but one of the other big things was, I'm not gonna lie, this book was hot.
Ooh, hot.
Oh,
Hot,
yeah,
right?
that's hot. That is hot.
Like not in a steamy sex way hot, but like the way the two characters, because basically we're following two characters in the book, the way they talk to each other, the way they're writing to each other, I'm like, oh my god, like, bro, I want someone to write me a letter like this. I want to feel like this. Oh my god, it was like, oh, sheesh, it's getting hot in here. It is actually very warm here in the UK today. After a long period of having very cold, rainy weather, it has actually gotten quite warm. But it's nuts. It's really, really good. And going into it, when it comes to books written by two different authors, and I couldn't find how it was structured, how they were writing the book, el-mohtar and Gladstone. I don't know if they alternated chapters or if, they just worked together on the book. If I can find a piece on that, I will put it on the screen. But, the two characters were very different, but also very similar. I loved that they were so different in so many ways, but they came together. Honestly, it's a really good read, or it's a really good listen. The person who read it on Audible, whose name I'll put somewhere, did a really good job. I really felt for these characters. And yeah, I'll say, audiobooks, people like them, people don't like them. It's up to you. But I find them very useful, especially when it comes to non-fiction. But even this, when it's really well performed and produced, banger audiobook. I recommend it in audiobook version. Maybe get it somewhere other than Audible so I feel less bad. But yeah, I'll go into a spoiler section now for this book, but if you don't want spoilers, I definitely recommend you go off and read this book or listen to it, and then, come back here, like, subscribe, share the video with a friend or family member, and it's time for the spoilers. Like I mentioned, the spoiler-free section, I absolutely love the way Red and Blue communicate to each other through these letters that they write that they have to hide through time for one another. My one small criticism is that it felt like the change away from being enemies to being enemies to lovers was a little bit too fast for me. It kind of felt like they were at each other's throat, and then all of a sudden, I think it's Red, is like, hey yo, what you saying?
girl.
Huh? Huh? I guess they start asking questions about Blue because I want to know what it's like on the other side, but I felt like this change came a little bit swift. I feel like one more exchange of letters in between and it would have made a little bit more sense. I just felt it was a little bit fast. But once they got into it, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Let me talk to you. It was really well, you could tell they had this just passion for one another. And also this looming threat throughout of the shadow, which that's one thing I won't actually talk about. Actually, I guess it's the spoiler section. I kind of want to talk about it. But the shadow and the whole thing behind the shadow, I kind of figured it out towards like the last couple chapters. I was like, that shadow that's following them, I think I kind of know who that's going to be. But the shadow was also really ominous in a good way, and even the fight sequence, you know, I don't read books of fight sequences, but even the fight sequence was really, really good. And so I'm just like, give me more. I felt like Red was probably the main protagonist of the two. It was like a 1A, 1B situation.
Red, green, blue, yellow, orange, baby.
And I did feel a little bit more for Red. Obviously, I felt like we do spend more time with Red. We start with Red. I believe the final chapter is from Red's perspective and Blue's letter. So yeah, we start with Red, we end with Red, and we have a few extra chapters of Red compared to Blue. I also like that we only know them as Red and Blue. Red, Blue. It helped. It helped to make them a little bit more even. But obviously, Red was the main protagonist of the two, and I really liked Red's character. I felt like Red really embodied the sort of that raw, passionate side of people, and Blue really embodied that. Although they have passion, although they're strong, they're like more level-headed. It's kind of like, you know, the TikTok trend where it's like normal girlfriend, golden retriever, but that's actually a very terrible comparison. That's just nowhere near close to what it should be. But yeah, it was so good. I just, you know, the Commandant and the agency which Red works for, and then Garden that Blue works for, I felt like the latter was a little bit more of an interesting concept. You know, it was more like combining nature and future compared to the former, which felt a little bit more just like, ooh, future Star Wars-y type thing. I feel like if
The Empire?
Not the Empire.
they turn this into a TV show or a movie of the two sides, that would be a more interesting visual and also just interesting concept would be Gardens, where Blue is from. I feel like that would be a little bit more interesting than where Red is from. But, you know, at first I felt like they were going to set it up like, oh, Blue's side is more of the good guys, because you kind of got very much imperialistic imagery from Red's side, you know, using words like commandant, and you know, they kind of felt like they were like, ooh, evil communists sort of vibe. But then Garden's side also felt like, oh, evil eco-fascists. So I feel like basically both sides are the extremes, or at least the extremes that the authors felt like they would be. So that's actually quite interesting. Some of the pop culture references they made in the meantime, like they say like, oh, our prophets say, and then it inserts like a line from a song, and I'm like, yeah, I guess that's kind of funny, but not necessary. Like, yeah, there are references to, you know, real life people. I'm pretty sure Socrates was real.
Socrates.
I'll double check that. But there are references to like Genghis Khan. There's reference to real people, but those felt like they stuck a little bit more than the lyrics from songs which they said their prophets sang. I kind of guess it kind of shows a link between us and them, but it was a little bit much. I thought that was one of my other quibbles, but any quibbles I had were so small. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I'd probably give it maybe 4 1/4. It's very hard for me to find a perfect book, but yeah, I highly recommend it. Yeah, I mean, if you're here at the spoiler section, you've probably already read it. So if you have, let me know down below your thoughts on How to Lose the Time War, and you know, do you want more books like this? I certainly would love something more like this. I'd certainly like another collaboration between the two. I should check if they have, but if they haven't, most certainly I want a collaboration between these two authors again. But yeah, thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, share the video with a friend or family member, and hey, I hope you read a great book today. And also, if you have a partner, one of you wear red today and the other one wears blue. Naruto is kind of blue now, so that's kind of who I've got to go with.